A very good morning to you everyone. This is Ajit Kumar Roy from Advanced Spoken English Institute. Today I am going to start with a very interesting lesson on communication skill. As you know that, I'm going to teach you the best way of communicating with your friends, your family members, in your offices, and any place that you go. What's the right way of communication, right? So I have selected a very important topic for your communication skill. That is storytelling, right? Storytelling is a very good way of communicating with someone. If you know how to describe something with the example of a story, a sequence, right? Then the other person will like to talk to you and they will also understand you. And it's a very good way of expressing your feelings and also proving that you are good in English. But it's not very easy for a new student who is just learning. So you should know the pattern. You should know the way of telling a story to someone, right? How you prepare yourself to explain someone a story. Okay, this is called a storytelling. This is the part of our course where I teach students how to tell a story in English and explain someone detail in a very clear way. What's the story all about, right? So here we have communication skill training, and it is about storytelling. So as you know that before you do any activity, any action in your life, if you plan it and if you structure it, then definitely you get a better output, right? So here, first of all, what you have to do is you have to outline your story. Outlining is a very important part before telling your story to someone, right? So in outlining part, what you have to do, you have to first get your idea. What is your idea? Like whatever the thought that you have, the story that you want to say, you have to get that idea in your mind. You have to think, idea, thoughts. You have to get those things in your mind and you have to frame it. You have to do a framework for that. And what is the framing? The framing is dividing it into three parts. First of all, intro. You have to think that what you are going to introduce, what you are going to say in the beginning. Then the body, where you have the detailing, and then you have conclusion, that how you are going to end it. So that framework, it should be there in your mind beforehand, before starting your story or starting your description. The framework should be there in your mind that I have to introduce, I have to say the detail, and I have to give the conclusion. So first of all, you have to introduce the topic. There are lots of stories that you come in your mind, lots of things that you have to say. So you have to introduce that I am going to tell a story on our village. I am going to tell a story about my country, right? I'm going to tell a story about my family, right? So you have to introduce what type of story you are going to tell. Then in the detail you have to give lots of information, right? And then end, you have to give a moral. You have to give a moral of the story. You have to give a conclusion for the audience. And remember, a story is something that is different from a novel. A short story is read by someone in a one shot and they read it and they complete it. It's not like novel that there are lots and lots of parts of that, right? So stories should be clear and concise and very simple to understand so that everyone understands you, right? So now we'll come back to the introduction part, right? How you'll introduce your story, how you start. You can start your story by saying once upon a time, right? So if you're talking about your village story, then once upon a time in my village there was a king. Then you continue with the story, right? Second starting, you can give long ago in my village. Then you continue with the story. Then after you continue, what you have to do, you have to introduce the characters. Who are there in your story? Who are the main character? Like if you watch any movies, you see there is an actor, is there, actress is there. The story revolves around that person, right? So you have to introduce the character, the actor of, like the actor of the story was Shah Rukh Khan, or the main character of my story is the villagers. Okay, the main character of my story is the terrorist. They are the main thing in that movie, right? So that is about introducing the character, right? You can also talk about the director or producer or kind of a thing, like who are the supporting actors in your story. Then you can describe, give a plot description should be where the story is taking place. In which part? It's in the playground it's happening, the sequence, the scenes where are taking place, which place it is happening. So if you can say that once upon a time in my village there was a robber, a thief who came and who used to steal the precious ornaments of the villagers. So what happens that I'm saying the place, the plot is the village, and the actual plot, the description of the plot is the houses. In the houses, the thing was happening. So plot means the place where the story is taking place and the action is happening. Then you continue with the story, give 2 3 points about the story, then you come to the climax. What happens? So if I talk about the robber and the thief story, if my the title of my story is the robber and the villagers, then in the conclusion I say in the end the villagers were totally frustrated with the robbery and there were no action taken to catch those robbers. So they went to the mayor and they went to the people who were head, they went to the king and they requested, they told them that this is happening in their village. So they have arranged some people to catch some soldiers to catch those robbers. So in the climax, what happens? The climax means where the story opens up. The whatever the secret is, it opens up, and what happens? That's the climax, right? So in the end, the robber were caught by the thieves. The robber were caught by the soldiers, right? So what happens is that this is the thing about plotting description. The whole thing is that you have to plot the description and you have to say what has happened and which place it has happened, right? Then you have to end the story like in the end, the soldier and the people who rewarded, they were rewarded because they have solved the problem of the villagers. Now after that, there were no robbery happening in the village, right? So this is the way you have to end the story, right? So what happens is that when an author is writing a story, he has lots of time and he describes everything in a slow motion, thinks a lot. But this is the test for your communication skill. You have a very short amount of time. You have a little time. You have little time to think, and then you have to prepare. So what is the training all about? The whole thing is about the sequence, the procedure of telling your story, so that you don't have to take much time. If you know this pattern, if you know the structure, the right structure of the story telling exercise, then easily your flow will happen. Easily you can say your story in a fluent way, and then you can end your story. So this is the pattern. Once again, I will tell you about the pattern. The pattern over here is that for your story, whatever story you want to say, there should be a starting intro where you give your title of the story, then you give a detail of the story, then you give a conclusion. So in the starting, you can use once upon a time, you can use long, long ago, and then you can introduce your characters of the story. Then you can give a description where the story is taking place, and then you can get the climax of the story, and then you give the ending of the story. Okay, so this is the pattern of the story that you have to follow, and I would like you to make your own story. First, before delivering your story to anyone, try to think of any story that you can make by yourself. Don't be dependent on the books. Don't copy the story from anywhere, because there are lots of story books where you can get the story from. But I want you to think, okay, you get your idea, get your thought, and get your framework done by yourself. That will help you communicate in a better way. Your message can be delivered in a better way. If you copy any story from the book, I always suggest my students to don't copy from anywhere, because if you copy, then it will be totally learning part. You have to learn and say. But if you follow this pattern, this is a very helpful exercise for your English improvement. If you follow this pattern and just write your own story, then easily you can describe your story in a better way, right? So this is all about our storytelling exercise. I hope you like the training and like the pattern. If you find any difficulty understanding, if you have any doubt in getting the answers right for this question, you can just comment me and you can send me messages, and I'll be sharing the link over here where I'll be sharing you with our registration form for the online classes, and I'll also share you the link for the website of our Google My Business where you can find the details so that I can give you a complete training on this topic with lots of examples as well. So this is just a starting of the training of storytelling. What is the starting part that you have to do? But in class, what we do, we give you lots of story examples, exercises, and we practice with those exercises. Then only it helps you, right? So for now, you can just practice writing your story. And if you like this video, please like and comment and share, and you can tell your friends to subscribe to our channel and get this information and get the training online. That's all about storytelling. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.